Hey everyone, this is Tathagata from Heritage Walk Kolkata. So we're starting a new segment today, which we are calling Backyard Histories, where I'll be exploring the histories of different neighborhoods of Kolkata. So I start with the history of my neighborhood, where I was born and where I was brought up, in this housing complex that you can see behind me. So let's start. Okay, so I'm walking around in my housing complex now. It's 238 Maniktala Main Road. It's called Shrundral property. I'm sorry if I'm sounding stuffy a little bit because I think there is a big fever hitting me very soon. While doing some research with the street directories and stuff, what I found out is that in the 1840s in the map, the housing complex used to have, where the housing complex now stands, it used to have a big pond, big square pond that was then filled up somewhere in the 1930s, and a ice factory called Ganga Ice Factory came up in its location. So after that, the housing complex started getting constructed about in the 1950s. So when they started construction, they actually found that this ice factory people had actually filled in the ponds with discarded rubber slippers. So it was very interesting. So they had a very hard time putting soil up, making these trees grow here, because it's all rubber underneath. And when I was a child, I actually saw occasionally that there are rubber sheets coming out from the bottom. There are iron sheets poking from the soil. So yeah, that was what made me curious then, but I didn't have any resources to look at. So now it seems pretty clear what those things used to be. I found out that this used to be an ice factory here. I started to do some research just before puja about the history of ice making in India, and I knew that there used to be ice transported down from the Himalayas during the Mughal emperors. But what I was not sure about is how ice was used and transported here, this far south, which is far away from the Himalayas, considering the transportation at that time. It turns out that in Bengal, the Dutch used to produce a kind of slushy ice called the Hooghly slush, but that was a muddy ice which you cannot use in drinks, so that was not much useful anyway. So in 1833, actually, there's a ship that was sent from Boston, Massachusetts in the United States, to Calcutta, and it reached here in September with a huge shipment of 100 tons of ice. And from then on, the ice shipments from the United States started becoming very frequent. In 1860s and 70s, gradually with the development of technology, new kind of steam ice machines would come up, will be developed, and then gradually this ice trade would be stopped, and people would start producing ice in more indigenous ways. Right, so that's all for today. I hope I don't get sick in the next couple of days. But anyway, see you for the next episode of Neighborhood Histories. Bye.